Congratulations! DS told me you were allowed out from yesterday. I'll be across to pay homage to your new life ahead. These are not the words of a common criminal's associate, but the documented sentiments of a prince of the realm, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, written to a convicted sex offender the moment he stepped out of a jail cell. This shocking revelation, buried within newly unsealed files from the United States Justice Department, has sent shockwaves through the gates of Buckingham Palace and left the British public questioning the very moral fabric of the York family. Hello, dear viewers, and thank you for joining us for this special investigative report. Before we dive into the dark heart of these newly released documents, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell. Your support allows us to continue bringing you the truth behind the headlines that affect the institutions we hold dear. The shadow of Jeffrey Epstein has long loomed over the House of Windsor. But just when we thought the narrative couldn't get any darker, the files have been opened once again, and the contents are more damning than ever. Experts and royal commentators are now warning that a much bigger, more systemic story is beginning to emerge. One that suggests Prince Andrew was not merely a naive friend who stayed too long at a party, but a man who actively sought to maintain and celebrate his connection with a predator, even after the law had stepped in. The evidence is found in a series of chilling email exchanges from 2010. At that time, Jeffrey Epstein had just completed his probation following a prison sentence in Florida. For most public figures, this would have been the moment to sever all ties and disappear into the shadows of anonymity. But for the then Duke of York, it was an opportunity to reconnect. The U.S. Justice Department has released a thread where Epstein informs an email address attributed to Andrew that he would be in Paris starting the following day. The response from the prince was not one of caution, but of genuine warmth and celebration. Andrew replied, noting that a contact referred to as DS had informed him of Epstein's release. He asked how long Epstein would be staying in the French capital, noting his own return to London on the 16th. The most haunting phrase in the entire exchange, however, was Andrew's declaration that it was really, really good news, and his promise to pay homage to Epstein's new life ahead. To pay homage is a term usually reserved for kings or deities. To use it in the context of a man who had just been released from a sentence involving the exploitation of minors is, quite frankly, beyond the pale. It suggests a level of deference and loyalty that contradicts years of official royal denials. For years, Andrew has maintained that his 2010 visit to Epstein's New York mansion, the infamous trip that led to his disastrous Newsnight interview, was a singular error of judgment intended solely to break off the friendship. Yet these emails suggest the exact opposite, a prince eager to toast the future of a convicted felon. This isn't just a matter of poor social choices. It's a matter of psychology. When we look at the recent images of the prince, what the press has described as a grim face, that shows he has been defeated, we see a man who seems to realize that the shield of royalty is no longer impenetrable. Analysts looking at his body language suggest this is the face of someone who knows his most guarded secrets are no longer safe. He believed he was above the law, protected by his mother's love and his status as a king's brother. But the digital trail left behind in the Epstein files is a ghost that refuses to be laid to rest. But the scandal doesn't stop with Andrew. His former wife, Sarah Ferguson, the Duchess of York, finds herself entangled in this web once again. For decades, Fergie has been a polarizing figure, often seen as the loyal defender of her former husband. However, new statements from her representatives suggest a desperate shift in strategy. Sarah Ferguson now insists that she cut off all contact with Epstein as soon as the full extent of his horrific crimes became clear. Her spokesperson has gone on record stating that the Duchess deeply regrets her past association with Epstein and that her heart goes out to the victims. They claim she was taken in by his lies, much like many others in his high society circle. But there is a new, more dramatic twist. Fergie's camp now claims that she was actually threatened by Jeffrey Epstein. According to her representatives, when she attempted to condemn him publicly, Epstein allegedly threatened to sue her for defamation for associating him with his specific brand of criminality. The narrative being presented now is one of the Duchess as a victim of Epstein's manipulation and intimidation. She claims the emails she sent, which are now coming to light, were written under advice to assuage Epstein and manage his threats. Is this a genuine revelation of a woman under duress? Or is it a calculated attempt to distance herself from a sinking ship? For many, the most heartbreaking part of this saga isn't the adults, but the children. The York daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, have long been seen as the innocent bystanders in their parents' turbulent lives. However, the latest reports suggest a mother's nightmare is unfolding. There are reports that the daughters were once taken to visit Epstein, a move that, for many in our audience, particularly the grandparents among us, is viewed as an unforgivable lapse in parental judgment. How could any parent bring their children into the orbit of such a monster? Sources close to the princesses tell the Daily Mail that Beatrice and Eugenie are aghast and mortified by what they are reading in the newly released files. They were reportedly kept in the dark about the true depth of their parents' intimacy with Epstein. Now, seeing their mother's emails and their father's homage in black and white, they are said to be distancing themselves to protect whatever remains of their own reputations. It is a tragic end to the image of the Yorks as a tight-knit, unbreakable unit. Their reputation isn't just tarnished. For many, it is completely decimated. This brings us to the current state of the monarchy and the man who now wears the crown, King Charles III. The king finds himself in an impossible position. On one hand, Andrew is his brother, a man he grew up with, a man their mother, the late Queen Elizabeth II, famously favored. On the other hand, Charles is the guardian of the monarchy, an institution that relies entirely on the consent and respect of the people. And the people have spoken. A recent YouGov poll shows that Prince Andrew's support among the British public has plummeted to a staggering 6%. In the world of statistics, 6% is essentially a margin of error. It means that the vast majority of the nation views him with something ranging from cold indifference to active loathing. The public is calling out the king for what some describe as pseudo-stripping of titles, taking away the HRH and military honors, but allowing Andrew to remain in the palatial royal lodge and attend family events. The pressure on the king is reaching a boiling point. Legal representatives for one of Epstein's accusers, a woman who alleges she was trafficked to the UK specifically for an encounter with the prince, have made an urgent plea to the king's legal team. They are calling for direct contact, demanding that the monarchy finally face these allegations head-on, rather than hiding behind palace walls and high-priced solicitors. The release of the latest U.S. Justice Department material has provided fresh ammunition for those seeking legal accountability. The imagery described in these leaks is particularly damaging. Reports of photos showing Andrew on all fours with an unidentified woman, or lying across multiple women at Sandringham, paint a picture of a life of debauchery that is entirely at odds with the dignity of the royal family. While the prince denies all wrongdoing and the context of these photos remains unconfirmed, the court of public opinion has already reached a verdict. Richard Fitzwilliams, a respected royal expert, noted to the Express that these images are extremely damning and will bring further, perhaps irreversible, embarrassment to the family. King Charles now faces a choice that will define the early years of his reign. Does he prioritize brotherly love, or does he save the crown? The calls for legal action against the abhorrent Andrew are growing louder every day. The king is being urged to act with the decisiveness of a monarch rather than the hesitation of a sibling. This isn't just a scandal anymore. It is what many are calling the moral bankruptcy of the York branch of the Windsor family. By allowing Andrew and Sarah to remain in the royal fold, even at the periphery, the king risks dragging the entire institution down with them. The daughters, Beatrice and Eugenie, are already feeling the heat, their own roles within the family complicated by the sins of their father and the shifting explanations of their mother. The Windsor files have opened a Pandora's box that cannot be closed. Every email, every photo, and every leaked deposition adds another brick to the wall separating the Yorks from the respect of the British people. As we look at the wreckage of Prince Andrew's reputation, we have to wonder, how much more is there to find? If the U.S. Justice Department is only now releasing these threads from 2010, what else is sitting in those boxes in Washington? The prince's grim face may indeed be the face of a man who knows that the homage he once paid to a monster is finally being repaid in the currency of public disgrace. As we conclude this report, we want to hear from you. The situation is complex and deeply distressing for those who have supported the monarchy for decades. Do you believe King Charles has been too soft on his brother? Is it time for the king to take the ultimate step and completely evict Andrew and Sarah from all royal properties, effectively exiling them from the family for good? Or do you believe that the prince deserves the benefit of the doubt until a court of law proves otherwise? Perhaps there is a deeper fear that the Yorks know too many secrets and that their total exile would lead to even more damaging revelations. What are your thoughts on this moral bankruptcy within the House of Windsor? Please, share your perspective in the comments section below. We value the wisdom and experience of our audience, and your insights help us understand the true impact of these royal crises. If you found this deep dive informative, please give this video a like and share it with others who follow the history and future of the British royal family. It is only through staying informed and asking the difficult questions that we can hold these powerful institutions to account. Thank you for spending your time with us today. This has been a special presentation of the Windsor Files. We will continue to dig deeper, follow the paper trail, and bring you the stories that the headlines often miss. Until next time, stay informed and take care. This is the Windsor Files, signing off.